Well, a Hastings man who stabbed his ex-girlfriend to death hours after she filed an injunction against him was sentenced to life in prison. Prosecutors had planned to seek the death penalty against Derrek Perkins in the murder of Brandi Brooker last October. Perkins ambushed Brooker on the porch of her home shortly after she filed paperwork seeking an order of protection from him. The protective order was signed but had not yet been served when she was murdered. Perkins pled guilty Friday morning to 5 charges, including first-degree murder and aggravated stalking.